Had the great opportunity. It was a lot of fun to drive to the town of Sepulpa, Oklahoma. Wow, big doings in Sepulpa, Oklahoma, Nick. How many times have you heard of the Route 66 car museum in
Oh yeah,
Sepulpa, Oklahoma? Yeah,
yeah.
big doings, right? Big top.
That comes up.
But had a great time. Drove my BMW and parked right next to a row of Mercedes-Benz owners.
Yeah, and let's all say this out loud because it's great you posted in the group because we know you don't do a lot of detailing these days. So you get to play with a tool, new one that you haven't played with before. The texts are flying. Then I go into the group, think I'm going to escape it. Nope, got to let everybody know you did some detailing. So for
Absolutely.
everybody wondering what days are like with Marty, boy, when he details, he loves telling you about it. He loves telling you. So yeah, it looked good, man. You got it. Looks like you got it all shined up. So hopefully it was a good trip.
If I get a little time, you bet. And then if there's a time, then that's the only thing like you mentioned before, because you said last week, right? Like I'm a little out of touch with some stuff that goes on. So if I get a moment to go in and go, I also want to put it out and post it because I need people to know I still know of something.
Yeah. We don't know what he knows. Hey, it looks shiny, so that counts. But that counts in our book.
I'll get to, since you mentioned that, I'll go ahead and get to it. You know, there was an interesting tool. I'm going to send it to you. It's cool what some brand, Flex, they've done some changes.
Sure.
The vibration, the walking, there's so much stuff. And especially with that little pad, they put like a little transition to it and
Sure.
you can push, you can not push. Like they made some changes that you're going to get it. And then we can actually really do some talking to people that want to know, what your thoughts are on it. Is it something they should get? We're always going to keep the liquid elements, but we'll have to take a look, we will.
Yeah. I mean, not Marty so much because you guys would see a lot more posts in the group, but you're exactly right, man. When you use some of this stuff, it's how I felt when I used liquid elements. I mean, I called you and said, no brainer. Like this is a no brainer price point. I actually think it works better than a lot of higher price tools. That's why we carry it. So if this is viable, we're sort of no brainer guys. We're not smart enough to be any other way. It's like, if this works good, yeah, we really like it. Then there's a viability to it. So I'm looking forward to it. And like you said, you messed around with it. You were texting me some things, and I'm always for companies that improve stuff. I mean, obviously they have one of the all-time tools that in our industry with the 3401. If they've made improvements, then yeah, you're dead right. We got to take a look at it.
Yeah, because what most people complain about the 3401 is the walk, right?
And it'll beat you up. It was a tool. And by the way, I have one from a breast cancer event, is the 3401 I have here. So if you guys ever see a video with a pink one, I got that because I donated some time at a breast cancer. So I got a pink 3401 that was like being a part of the event. Look, there's people that just swear by them, right? They're just like, that's all I'm ever going to use.
Right. Swear because of the forced rotation, I think.
Sure.
To me, that's what it always was. The difference, and I love the comment about, hey, DAs are for people that drink wine. Like, kind of funny, right? Like, but DAs, when you compare DAs to the original 3401, it was like somebody that just is kind of a little light in their steps. Like why wouldn't you just go at the 3401? I think the 3401 lost its moment when we got into a finesse part of detailing. It seemed like we transitioned out of my favorite part of 3401. Was that old turn and burn?
Yeah,
right?
You could turn. I mean, it was a high production tool. I mean, it was. I mean, you were around dealerships and wholesalers and people like that. They were looking for something that you could just teach anybody to use, right? Put the pressure down, go, and that was always that tool. But I've always told people, as smooth as everybody tries to tell you as the best DA out there that they love, there's still nothing as smooth and easy to work as a rotary. I mean, all this stuff was night and day to me. Like if you knew how to use a rotary, it was always better than all of these tools as far as a comfort level and not beating you up as much. I mean, the only problem with some of the older ones is how heavy they were, right? Like a Makita or a DeWalt, they were just heavy machines.
The new ones are much lighter.
What's that?
The new ones are definitely lighter, it seems.
Oh, yeah. Like if you get in flex rotary, if you get to Rupes rotary, I mean, there's a lot of light rotaries out there now, but the 3401 was just sort of a complaint for a lot of people that they just didn't want their body beat up. And it definitely was a tougher tool on your body than some of the modern DA.
So finesse of the body, but also finesse of the paint.
Sure.
Right. It seemed like there was a moment, I guess speaking of my own self, was thinking as the mass of the DAs came in, it began to be of, well, we need to finesse this paint a bit. And, we can't do it with that. We need this, and everybody was just about the light, just
Sure.
barely touch and, just barely let the tool do everything.
As a finishing tool, a good DA is much easier to finish with than a 3401, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right?
Which is why everybody, really I think, moved to it was, hey, if I'm going to have one, I'm going to switch to a DA because I can finish.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people, and I talked to some people that are reps into like high production areas. There's a lot of companies, in high production settings that went away from rotary altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut with 3401 and they finished with a DA.
Love to do that.
Yeah. And I think that became more of the high production where when you and I got in the business, it was rotary, mid step, final step, if you really had to cut something. And I think they just were able to teach 3401 to cut, DA to finish just a lot easier. So people need to hear this from me. Whatever tool works for you. Like we need to keep saying that.
Absolutely. But we got to talk about what in, I guess a theory that got pushed into the market was, you're right, cut with a 3401, finish with a DA. And then I just know people, and I know seeing photos, and I know watching groups, and people just went, well, let me just get one tool.
Yeah.
I'll cut with the DA, which is then why you have so many people that just laugh. Right. And they go, how long did it take you to do that? Right. Which when we got into that 10, 12-hour corrections, remember that?
Yeah. And then people were like, it was really more out of people going away from rotary like that. When you and I saw it, it was like people went into heavy microfiber cutting, and they would leave a lot behind and it would take them longer. They just didn't cut as fast. Right. They still don't cut as fast. Obviously, we know the best tool in history to cut with is always going to be the rotary with some wool. Like nothing's ever going to cut to that level. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's really amazing how much marketing got people to believe certain things. And there's nothing wrong with that. People still get so offended by it. I've looked at it this way the whole time. Whatever you want to use, dude. It's not my time. It's not, but to teach people widespread rotary use, it's challenging if you're trying to grow a company. It is.
But, if we've seen more and more people start to put out online, complaining of where the market's at and I can't get this anymore and I can't get that. Well, if we're having to lower or change expectations, we're going to have to figure out how to shave our time. Yeah. Figure out how to shave cost if that's time is the most, valuable asset we could ever have, or depleting asset actually. So, if we're trying to make more in a tougher moment, we actually do need to figure out how to shave time off.
Well, we're big proponents of one thing. With the modern state of clear coat, with the modern state of very rough paint systems that I don't think really have advanced in a lot of ways, they've actually gotten worse in some instances, some companies. That's why I'm real big on learn how to do a really thorough one step. It's going to fit more people. You even see this in high production now. They're going to more one step and understanding. Man, when you start talking about, the talent it takes to sand, the talent it takes to do 2, 3, and 4 steps, we know that most people can't charge for it, right? I'm not saying everybody, but you and I know some really talented people in this business. When they are behind the scenes talking to you, they'll say, can't charge properly for sanding, can't charge properly for all these steps. I've just kind of gotten pigeonholed into this, and this is what people expect out of my work. And they're stuck. And one of the things I wish would happen is some of those guys would start speaking out of just about how much of a hit they've taken because they do these extra steps that they really can't find a way to adequately charge for all the time.
Hard to say that out publicly, huh?
Oh, well,
The
if
ones that
you want to
do,
sell training, you want to sell all these types of things, you can't really be true. But you and I respect all that skill. You know, we say that on this podcast all the time. There's people doing really high level work. Like, and you and I know what it takes to do that high level work.
Mhm.
What they say behind the scenes is just a whole different story than what gets said publicly. And I don't blame them. This is not taking a shot. It's just they know how tough that part of the business is. And a lot of them work with car builders. They work with really high end shops that send them work. And they've really built a nice life for themselves, but not a life everybody, number one, wants, because that work is tough on you. But number two, you know, putting aside that you're going to be doing some of these steps for free. I mean, because you just can't charge. And it's just an interesting part of the business.
well, and let's just keep going backwards from the way I had it set up to go through, because what you just talked about was a question that I was sent from somebody that goes, "Hey, if I want to, go from being, the the guy doing the work to the guy not doing the work, how do I do that?" And he goes, "That would make a great episode." And you go, "Sure." I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that would be an amazing episode to be able to go through every single thing that you would need to do, and then I just know that A, you won't do them because
yeah,
that's a
it's
lot
true.
of stuff, and B, we'd have to charge you beyond the podcast, right? Like to
Yeah.
want every little step of the way. But overall, there's got to be, I think, a one moment type of how do you progress out of here to get to there? It has to be coming to these type discussions and go, well, maybe it means I need to change, adapt, change, switch up, think about differently,
Simplification.
understand what customers see, and do I need to push as much into it because
Yeah.
that pushes so much onto my team
Yeah.
that I'm going to supposedly do.
If you want to hire, especially starting out, right, there's a lot of things you can do as you mature as a company. But there's a lot of people that are in their first 5 years trying to grow out of being the person doing all the work. So what I can do 15 years in and add into my business is much different than what I could do 5 years in, right? Like we talk about this all the time with PPF. Man, you're 10 years in, you got a nice little bucket of money. PPF isn't that hard to introduce into your company because you got the money to do it. You're 3 years in, you don't have a ton of money, you try to add PPF in, which we've seen in the last 5 years, you just sink your company. So you need to be honest about where you're at. So if I'm in my first 5 years and I can only tell people what I've seen work and what I've made work, is you got to learn how to make money off simplification, right? This is why we're a big proponent of you guys should be doing a ton of stack. Wash, decon, stack cars. Come up with your price. In some markets, that's going to be $249. In some markets, we have guys getting $499, $599 for that service. That's scalable. That's teachable. That's easy for somebody on your team to be taught how to do that service. That's why you want a lot of one-step options. Easy to teach, easy to put a tool in, 3401, which we just talked about. Take a 3401, put the pressure down, turn the trigger on, go over the area this many times, let's call it a day, right? Easy to scale, easy to teach. What's harder to teach? Hand sanding. That's going to be a hard thing to scale. Doesn't mean 15 years in, you can't have that as a part of your services because you got team members that have been trained and put time behind machines, whatever. But I think the only thing I could tell people is simplification. If you don't simplify, you can't teach it. And this is what we see a lot with interiors. You get a wrecked interior, it's actually going to take you a lot to teach somebody how to do a destroyed interior. You were in the dealership world, I've been in the wholesale world. To get a destroyed interior back to like new, I can teach somebody how to do a one step faster, right? Because it's just less steps. It's one machine, it's one pad, it's one liquid. Put this pressure down. You got to do this carpet system. You got to do this on the seats. You can't get stuff here. You got to look for the buttons. You can't use compressed air here. It might, knock all the buttons off the dash. Just more variables. And so when we see people that go heavy into destroyed interiors, it's like, well, I hope that works out for you, but I kind of know where this ends. Like, that's going to be tough to scale. Takes too much time. You can't charge for it. People that would destroy their interiors on that level largely aren't going to pay you what you need. We've gone through all of this, but the word that comes to mind to me is simplification. If you don't start having simple ways to make money, you can't scale.
It's a great word. It's a great word. Mine, and because I didn't tell you who sent it to me, but I know of some things in his past. So to me, yeah, you're absolutely correct, because you're much better at building teams, right? Like, you built teams of people, and I've told you, and I've said it publicly. I said it to a guy that came in today, bought a liquid element polisher from us, and we haven't seen him in, it's been a long time. Back from, he mentioned 2019. He's like, yeah, man, it's been a bit. That's 7 years.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago, right?
That's a different building. That's a different team. That's a different place of business. I mean, a lot goes on in 7 years.
And so I thought of this moment with then coming to you and talking about this with this question with this guy, and I go, there's simplification, which you have to do, because you have to have the ability to run a marathon.
Yeah, it's tough.
The only way you run a marathon, just look at the marathon runners. Like, they're stripped down. Right? Like,
yeah, it's simplified.
They're massively simplified. Yep. They're simplified not just in the way they look, the way they run, it's the way they train, it's the way they live their life, right? It's about, how do I make something long term? If I'm going to get into this and I'm going to get into bed and I burned my ships, well, how do I do something that I can sustain?
That's tough.
How do I sustain this legs moving up and down every day? Go into work on Monday. Don't leave until time to leave beyond later than everybody else, right? I'm not going to go to the bar at 2:00 because I have team members.
Yep.
I'm going to work harder and sustain longer than the people that are with me. So simplification is magical for building a team. Then, as an individual operator, you must learn, how can I refine down and begin to think long term? How can I sustain this?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing, man. And it's one of these things I think people don't think about is, you start to hire people and you think it's going to free you up, and it never does that. That never actually happens. It actually just becomes more and more weight kind of down on you. And that's why people can't handle it, because that means, I always ask people, if I tell you 5 years, no days off, no vacation, how many of you are signing up for it? And the answer is less than 10%, right? It's that simple. I've watched it. You've watched it. We know people that take weeks and months away from their business every year. Cool, man. It's your business. You can do what you want. Asking me for advice after I see that, I probably wouldn't do that, right? Like, because you're not as committed as I know people need to be. And it's your business. Do it your way. But there's going to be a trade-off to not putting that time in. And you and I talk about this all the time, because it's not just detailers. I mean, you and I have knowledge of a lot of people in our lives that own businesses. They're somehow at every kid's practice. They're somehow never missing anything. And then when you talk to them over a beer or at dinner, they're like, oh, my business is really struggling. You go, well, bud, you haven't missed a practice in 6 years. Like, great for you. I hope your son and daughter love that. But like, I actually know why your business is probably struggling. You're not putting in the time necessary, because nobody outraces that. Not me, not you, not anybody. And there's times that you and I've had to say this to people, and you don't say it to be mean. You say it to like, hey man, you're either going to make this call or you aren't. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, is there just comes a point with business owners that have been there, that are there, is they're just going to go, hey man, this is kind of how it works. If you want to do it, you're going to do it. If you don't, like, you're not. And I think I don't think people love that black and white discussion, because when it comes to business, there's not 100 things to talk about. I know people tell you that, and you got these guys making 1,000 clips a month about business, Bud, there's not 1,000 things to talk about. It's a couple.
You might ask the question, what was I doing then wasting my time in Sepulpa at this?
Well, yeah, I'm excited about this. I got to imagine the questions were wild.
At this car museum, right? Like, and I wasn't the first choice. Let me go ahead and say that.
We know, because they saw your post on Specialist, and they're like, Jesus, this guy actually details?
They had to tell me, like, well, I told you when I got the call, right? I mean, I was like, hey, I've been asked to do this. Well, I wasn't the first one they asked, but because I used to do these in the past.
Sure.
When I was a distributor, and I valued working with the Mercedes store here. Like I valued going and educating the customers that were coming in to the dealership, and I saw the play. It is so interesting, and we'll get into some of the questions because there was a past president that was there. Now I send you the photo. I will go put it in the Specialist group so people can go look at the photo, and we'll talk about some of these people, because some of these people ask some really good questions, and I want to put the photo, and I want you to see the faces, and I'll point them out to everybody so that you can actually put some faces to some questions, and then when you guys get into some moments, you can connect the dots here, right? Like this, I saw this as, wow, cool. You guys want me to come out and talk? I haven't done this in a long time. Personally, right, as I've shared with you of some stuff, right? Like, personally, I've hidden away for now locally.
Or we hid you away. I mean, I don't know which one it was. Maybe we hid you, you hid yourself. I mean, who's counting?
I wasn't labeled Tommy Tech, right? There's a reason for that. Like,
don't worry, I had a Tommy Tech moment last week. So
had a Timmy Tech.
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough moment.
It is tough, but I hid away, and so there was a personal part of me going, man, I miss talking to some people that and
there's a connection there.
Well, here's the interesting part, right? It's not I just miss talking to people. You can go have a conversation with, just go to the gas station, just go to name anywhere. You can strike up if you're the person that loves to talk to people. Guess what? You can have a random conversation with anybody. I've learned there's zero value in that.
Hey, nobody saw that one coming. You can strike up a conversation, but don't do that.
I was actually excited about, these people. Man,
I mean, look, talking to people that are sort of a captive audience, they want to learn something, whether they ask the best questions or not, it really doesn't matter. You just know it's a captive audience that cares about their car, and there's something good to that. They
were out on a cruise. Dale, love this about what he does with his mini group, right? Let's all start to connect some dots. How this happens in every city across the United States.
In every type of car. Every type of car. I mean, Volkswagen groups and this group and Mercedes groups and exotic groups, and it's just everywhere.
Everywhere. And so I pull up in my 2000, and there's a row, and I'll send you this row of cars. Actually, I need to send it to you now. My apologies, I didn't send it to you before. I specifically, when I looked at this row of cars, I go, okay, where am I going to park? And who am I going to park next to?
And whose door am I going to ding?
Yeah. I parked next to this E55 that caught my attention as I was pulling around. They were all parked one direction. And so I pulled out in front and crossed over their bumpers, and I saw these circular headlights, and I saw those big faced wheels, and I go, that's my guy. I'm parking next to him.
Monoblock wheels. Yeah, I'm in.
He was the guy, though. You can go in and zoom in on his license plate. Timeless.
Yeah, he's right about that. That's an all-time classic.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited about parking next to him.
I see everybody left a little bit more space than Marty. So Marty's already Number one, park the wrong direction and gonna ding your door on the way out.
Non-car guy.
Yeah. Hey, bud, can you park we got plenty of room out here. You didn't need to get right next to me.
So
Marty got a coupe and doesn't know how to act. That's funny.
I go in and, I start meeting some people. And first off, I love that I could recognize a past president.
Yeah, agreed.
If somebody's was past previously there and they've continued on, just think about my discussion a second ago. They've sustained through. This is now probably, I don't know the last time I talked to those guys. I tried to, when I saw him, I go, hey, he goes, yeah, I used to be the president. I go, it was on Memorial, and we were going back to the people that were there. I talked about Ben Key, who was this customer that had this 84 Mercedes that was gold. I've talked about this car for a while because his was in trouble. Like from those discussions then, he had to come to me, and it needed that full.
Yeah, go to the bone.
Yeah. Like he goes, wow, I've realized I have neglected this. Like,
yeah.
And so he was a customer for many years, until, right? Like,
yeah.
Some people pass on, some people move on, right? Like it is what it is. So we really I enjoyed him as a customer. It was great. So we chatted about that. And then I kind of like take this look over and I'm like, hey, well, this guy goes, hey, I mean, he's like right here. One of those moments.
Yep.
Like, turns out, timeless guy.
Oh, good for him.
Absolutely.
I'm just right over your shoulder, like, hey, exactly. What do you actually know?
No wonder we're close, bro. Like,
yeah.
No wonder.
Like, well, I just buffed my first car in like 16 years, but you know what? I'm here to talk.
So, I pulled, and I definitely was because of our just past episode. And I took and some of our, just previous to just recent ones. But I go, listen, what am I going to do to talk to these people and open up? And I go, look at their age, right? And I knew that they were going to be a little bit older. And so I did hey, ChatGPT, what are the 10 most, misconceptions about a Mercedes-Benz? And I want it, and then so I just said, I want you to talk like David Letterman. These are going to be older people, and I want to know some things and they were great, man.
So you're a ChatGPT detailer. We know a few of those. Oh, that's funny.
It is, but I didn't admit it to them, but I'll admit it here.
There'll be a few people that get that joke out there.
Yes. So let's start off. I'll just go. I'm not going to go over them. I'm not. But there's some of them I will go over because they were great. And the very first one got everybody started. I go, all right, number 10. They're all owned by doctors and lawyers. Well, so David Letterman, he always said something, and then he would give like some like joke explanation, okay? So he said reality is half are owned by retired engineers who just wanted a car built by people who hate failure as much as they do. Nick did exactly what everybody else did.
Yeah.
The crowd didn't laugh and like hysterical, but they had this little chuckle, and I'm like, I'm in. Right? Like,
yeah. So are we just going to go over your presentation, or can I get to some questions these guys might have
had? So,
because it feels like you're just bragging.
The number one moment happened off of this one, and this was the number 4. They said, all right, you buy a Mercedes to impress people. Number 4 misconception. You buy the car, to impress people. I said, nope. You buy a Mercedes to impress yourself, and occasionally you make the guy at the gas station ask what year it is.
That's true.
Got to go ask them, hey, my guy that had this PLP.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, what year is yours? I parked next to you. And that's when he told me he had an 01 E55. Well, I just recognized those, those big oval.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm parking next to that guy. But turns out he had an 01, right? And here's what happened then about this discussion. We got into, could a Mercedes-Benz be a daily driver?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
If If what, though, Nick? Because Mercedes and some of these cars, you get a BMW, you get some of these, you go,
high level of maintenance.
Bingo. Maintenance schedule.
Yep. Can't waver.
Right? We'll go into you and I know where to go on this, but I first asked the question. I go, hey, a maintenance schedule is, you got to do all these things that you guys know. Why do you do them? Why do you take care of these? What is it about this? Why? There's this lady over on the left. Gotta love the little old lady. Turns out it's because you love something.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, Euro cars are one thing, a labor of love. That's it. You can't drive expensive Euro cars and not buy into maintenance. Well, which is why they depreciate so fast, because most people don't do the maintenance. And then the shit gets real expensive.
The best question is the flip. Curious from all you people here. Why do you think that then they defer the maintenance of cleaning?
Oh. Yeah, it seems like most of them are in good shape, though.
Good shape, most of them. But they've gone through some stuff, and they talked about it, right? Even we got to a point of, which I'll get to in a minute, of where they start asking me where to go. Because let's just go into why they needed to know. You're right. They've done something to it, to be a part, to take care of it. And so it wasn't necessarily just a shot at them. It was more of an open question, right? And she gave the best answer, because you're right. They have to love something to put that much into it.
Oh, yeah.
The average person, which is what the conversation moved to, was, well, what's the average car owner? And the past president popped up. Well, the average car owner is 3 to something years, maybe 3 to. They don't think about taking care, cleaning, maintaining. They don't love their car. His opinion, don't, right?
Yeah, but if you drive something that's from 2001, there's just certain realities around it, right? You kind of accept certain things. Either you're
2010.
Yeah, that's 15 years ago, 16 years ago. People don't realize, like, we have stuff with modern tech that looks like a modern car that's 16 years old now. You got to have some level of care. And so I'm interested to hear some of the stories of what they're struggling with in our world. I think that's what everyone's listening for.
So past president, he'd be the guy in the back right. And you got to love, right? Because past president, he was kind of into it, but now he's just kind of around. But I love that he's around. Here's his question. Do you need to clay bar every time you wax?
Yes. We've talked about this on this podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're right. Like it almost like in exhaust, but I also go, I literally said this out loud. I go, wow, I haven't heard that question in a long time. You and I've talked about it because we have some people inside of some Facebook groups, and there's some massive misconceptions inside of there. But to have a past president of the car club ask me this question, I looked at him and I go, okay, because to your point, they're taking care of their cars. And I go, where did he get this information from?
We can point to about 3 brands that have been popular in his life and go, boy, they sold this dude a lot of clay. Right?
Right.
It's, so for anybody, whether you're listening to us for some of your first times or you've listened to us for a long time, there's a reason we come up with some of the topics that we do. It's not only because maybe somebody asked us that question during the last week or whatever, and we, pass it back and forth through text message like, hey, we need to bring this up on the podcast. But also, I think we try to tell everybody who's into detailing, either as a prosumer or as a professional doing it, I don't think you guys ever realize how confused everyone else is. And they're not confused because they don't care all the time. They're confused because they just never talk to the right person or the right 5 people or watch the right YouTube or watch the right social media. And I know everybody gets tired of me saying this, but you guys don't realize how damaging information can be. And this guy got this information from somewhere. He didn't just pull it out of thin air. Now, that's why I made the jokes about some older brands that sold clay as like part of a package, like with wax, then they'd have a clay bar in there or some kind of clay media that they invented. That's still around today. I mean, there's whole packages at O'Reilly's or at Sam's Club that you can see it's, some type of modern wax that says the word ceramic on it that isn't ceramic. Then it's got a clay media, then it's got an applicator, and it's in this beautiful box, and they got all these people. So what do you think those people do? Well, when I use this product, I have to use this product with it. Because what do they want to sell? More clay and another one of these things. That's just the nature of the beast.
Absolutely. So I go, hey, let's not get hung up on wax. Let's go, and because you and I have talked about it, so everybody in our community is going to know what we're going to go into. Hey, it's not just wax. Should you clay before you protect the car?
Yep.
That was wonderful. We got to segue into this whole discussion of the differences, which any of us, right? If we are quote unquote specialists and we've been a part of this community for, well, since conception, or since you've been on, or just in the past 2 to 3 years, we should all understand that, hey, we need to talk about protection. And protection isn't just wax. Protection isn't just a ceramic coating. It's all different things, and there's not a one question, can I do this for everything? It was wonderful then to get to educate them on, well, here's what a wax does. Listen, this was not chemistry.
Right.
Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, it was basics. It was the basics.
This was, hey, we all know wax, and they joke, this is always the fun part. Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, that's always the thing that's been attached to it.
Boom. And we talked about that, and well, wax sits on top, and I go, hey, there's another movie that people from back around sort of that time that portrayed a detailer. And well, my name happened to be in the movie, so I just keep sticking to it because that guy used to hit me over the head when I was named Marty McFly, and he was Biff. Biff was portrayed a certain way.
Yep.
So we talked about that portrayal and what it meant for wiping and putting on and that old school way. The wonderful, well, now we have sealants go into coatings. Man, what do you think should be talked about if we're going to express, whether that's at a club or somebody that comes into the shop, says, hey, I need a wax. Well,
we've talked about this. So I've always gotten around it very simply. I think people can make it very difficult, which just further confuses the consumer. As I can say, look, we have something that's just a new age wax. It's just better than wax. We use these coatings. You'll get the same effect, except it'll last longer. It'll be more durable. It's a little tougher. And I move on with my life. I also know a lot of people that get in arguments over this stuff with potential customers, by the way, because they've told me, I had this guy come in and we got in this argument. We are in a weird time in life. And I think sometimes we all need to say this out loud. If you're getting in arguments over this silly stuff, you got to take a step back. Okay? And we see it every day online, and we see people making response videos to the way somebody does something online. Guys, gals out there, there's so much bad information, you're never going to keep up with it. It's never going to happen. Say your piece, make things simple. And I think you probably saw this at the club that you talked at. They're not confused for lack of trying. They're confused because they listen to the wrong people. It's not for a lack of trying. Then they get confused. Then things don't work the way that they were told they were going to work. And they get really, really pissed off because they should, because they spent their hard-earned money. I don't care what level of money that is. And they just go, I'm not going to fuss with it anymore. This is why dealerships burning customers is a big deal on things like PPF coatings, taking a car in the back and spraying some soap on it and call it a coating. The downstream effect of that is hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people being misled about coatings. That's the problem. The problem isn't that the dealership did X, Y, and Z. It's the problem it creates downstream, right? And you and I would say to any dealership, it's so easy to do it right. I just got no idea why you're doing this. Like, this just doesn't make any logical sense, except they don't care. And so then we see a customer that says, well, I had a coating on my car from the dealership, and coatings don't work. And you know what? From that dealership, they're right. Because that dealership told them they had a coating on it. By the way, this is happening in thousands of dealerships across the country. Hell, we can name the companies selling them the products, okay? And some of you use their products and think that you're using good stuff. And they take it back and they spray foam out of a foam can and some stuff on the car. And a week later, the shit's not on the paint. They go to wash it the first time. They're like, well, it doesn't do anything. Ceramic coating doesn't work. And that's why recently on some YouTube videos I've done, it's like, guys, if you're confused why they're confused, you just don't know the marketplace. What's being said at Sam's Club? What's being said at the local car wash? What was said at the dealership? What was not delivered upon? And so the vast majority of people that have a negative connotation with ceramic coatings never even had a ceramic coating applied. They just didn't. They thought they did. They're convinced they did. They're convinced that, Bob's Chevrolet wouldn't have done this to them. But you look at it and you go, yeah, they sprayed some stuff out of a foam cannon on your car. No, they wouldn't have done that. I paid, $5,200. It's like, no, you paid $5,200 for the paperwork. You didn't pay $5,200 for the ceramic coating. And there's a lot of detailers that don't understand what's being paid for at a dealership. You think they're paying for the coating. No, the dealership will be pretty honest. You're paying for the warranty paperwork. That's what's being paid for. And as long as you keep coming back and they keep warranting it and spraying something on it, they're in compliance. So when you talk to groups like this, which I encourage all detailers, as we've done before, become a supplier of hyperCLEAN, run these type of events at your shop, it'll become very clear what you need to sell in the marketplace just because you hold the events. And that has to be what you felt coming out of this event.
Oh, yeah, because it was wonderful, because once you ask that question, then we all get, if we know enough about something, we get to just blabber on, right? Like, it got to the point where I had to leave. I had to be like, "Oh, guys, hey, it's apologies."
It's been a long time. I've been here a while.
It was, and I just had to back it down. But the point of coatings is still it's such a great thing for our industry, because the confusion, it allows us opportunity. The wonderful time was when we got into coatings, and then somebody goes, well, so what did I get? And I'm like, not going to go after this label,
Sure.
because I'm not going to do that. And I said, but, I gave him the same thing that we talk about on these podcasts. And he goes, well, man, I don't know. I go, okay, well, what'd you do? He goes, I had to do it. It told me 5 to 6 layers. And I bought this ceramic spray, and I would get a year if I put 5 to 7 layers on.
Whew.
Right?
You can't help in our position, and this sounds like a weird thing, to feel bad for that person. I think a lot of you, when you heard that he said that, probably if you got your earbuds in or you're rolling in your vehicle, you're like, oh man.
Just think of your dad.
Oh yeah. Same. Yeah.
This is like maybe your granddad for some of you. I get it. Like these are elderly people. Imagine how much time, energy, and effort he just spent on 5 to 6 layers.
Yep. Of something that has no prayer to last a year, has no prayer to bond on itself and create all these layers. It's just not how it works, right? And that's why we always say, which I'm sure you said out loud to them, if it's not in a metal bottle or a glass bottle, it's not a ceramic coating. Like look, guys, is that uniformly true? Could you find bottles of plastic? Yeah, but the cost of the plastic would be so expensive that you don't see that on the consumer level. It's just cheap plastic. It's just going to burn a hole through it. And the problem is when you say those words out loud to somebody who just spoke to you, you go, did it come in plastic? Uh-huh. I hate to break it to you, that wasn't a coating. And let me explain why. You see them almost get depressed. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like the
No, you can. I'll post the photo and I shared it with you. You can actually, if you zoom in, you can find that guy.
Yeah, and he's just like,
you just look for the depressed guy. His face is like, I mean, because this was literally like 2 minutes. And then after he talked about that and we were in this, and it was like, all right, guys, I got to go. Hold on. Let me take a selfie real quick. I mean, his countenance, right? His facial appearance, just look for him. He's in the middle. He's in the back. Like, he's like this.
Yeah. I believe it because, I mean, that stuff's happened in my office. I mean, about paint protection film, about coating, about everything. And you just see a person that goes, you know, I really did try to do the right thing. You know, I really did try to do it the right way. And you know what? They did to the best of their ability. And there's a lot of us that judge that stuff instead of taking it as an opportunity of, I could be the person that actually fixes that guy's problem, which you kind of did probably. You're like, hey, man, look, it's really simplistic. I'm not here to say if that product is good or bad at what it does. It's just not a coating. It's just not what it is. And that's okay. But I mean, does your car look good? Yeah, but I'd like it to. Cool. Then you're talking about stepping up to a coating and let me show you what that looks like. And let me teach you what that looks like. But like, don't get depressed, man. It's just a moment in time. But guys, when everybody asks why we harp on information, it's because we have these types of experiences. And there's many of you that stay locked in a shop or locked in a mobile unit as a professional, and you don't have any connection to a group of people like this that tell you, first of all, they're driving cars you have to care about. Otherwise, they're just not, those cars aren't going to drive anymore. You can't just, so they're trying to do the right thing. And what we've lost as, you know, quote unquote, an industry is the fact that most people are misled by somebody, quote unquote, in this industry. Not like some idiot on the internet. It's like, no, I can point you to people who represent, quote unquote, this industry in their mind, and they're giving nothing but bad information 24/7. So it's like, for everybody that wants to live by that credo, it's like you're never going to erase that. These people just need more people like Marty, you guys out there that are trying to do the right thing every day. They just need to talk to more qualified people. That's all. Like that solves all the issues, is more qualified people talking to more people like this. It's the only way to solve it, because you're not going to stop the quote unquote snake oil stuff. And so many people get caught up in that. Like, well, we need to stop that. Bud, as long as I've been around cars, this has never stopped. And it's only gotten exponentially worse because of social media. Stop arguing about stopping it and just talk to more groups like this.
Yep. That is interesting that those two words were brought up.
Oh, I bet. And by the way, that's a specific age group that word means something different.
Because they've gone through it.
Yes, exactly.
They've seen it. Like, imagine what they've seen over the 80s,
you can only imagine what we've seen. Like, I mean, I know people are like, you guys talk about the past a lot. It's like, but that's relevant. It's a lot more relevant than you think. Like, many people think all this shit's brand new because of coatings. It's like, but I was there for sealants. I was there for a million options of wax. This has always been a part of the ecosystem. There were waxes you could put on your car that were fantastic. There were waxes you put on your car, you were like, did I even put anything on my car? That was a wax. And it was a simple product to get right. Now go to something that's as global as coatings, and we have more commerce than ever. Places like Amazon and Sam's. I mean, we never had that 25 years ago. So think of exponentially how this has gotten out of control. And instead of getting and arguing with other people in the industry, talk to these types of individuals, because they do want to learn. That's one of the things that I think you probably walked away from, that I've always walked away from, is when somebody's interested, they do want to learn.
Absolutely. And so you get through these problems, you talk about all this stuff, the best question happens right at the end. I didn't have to present anything. I didn't even take any product. Like, that's why Nick didn't see any sales, coming out of Sepulpa on Saturday.
We talked about it with HR. That'll be a write-up. That'll be a write-up.
But they asked the best question. Oh, well, who do you use? Well, what do you use then? Gosh, I mean, that you couldn't ask for a better tee up, could you? Sure. I mean, if you're in sales, that's the best question you could ever be asked. Well, by the way, let me then tell you about, and this is the perfect time to go, once again, not me. I don't have a shop to be able to tell them to come in to use my service. I could have love the best part, which I did kind of leave out a second ago, is when they were asking about car questions that I couldn't answer. I had my Clutch Culture hoodie on. I go, listen, we've got this podcast that it's inside of our organization, our community of everybody inside of our group.
Yep.
And they talk about cars. Hey, if I can't answer your question, hey, we got all this stuff here of people answer. We got this group that you can come join and you can be a part. And you know what? If I can't do the work for you, because that was me, maybe you, the listener that's going to set this up, maybe you could do the work. You get to do the car, do the CRM exchange, whatever you need to set up to get that moment. But the other moment is the person that wants to do it himself, that bought that bottle, that went to the parts store like we talked about. Well, he didn't know he had an option, right? These people here didn't know they had a local company that they could buy stuff from to learn the appropriate ways of doing the work. A distributor is the answer here, not the manufacturer, which is what I had to keep saying to them. Sorry, we manufacturer going to have to go online to buy it.
Yep.
It'd be so much better if there was a distributor who was right there with their truck, which is what they said. Where's your truck? Where's that? Yep. Where's your products to sell us? And it was like, wrong guy.
Yeah. No, we talk about this a lot. They're, Mercedes, Porsche clubs, Corvette clubs, the list goes on. Name the brand. They all want to do these events. They'd be happy to come to your shop and have the event, set some chairs up, some tables, buy some donuts and coffee.
Or you go to them.
Which
is what I did. They're going to have
But in reality, they're looking for places, right? Like, so they'd be happy to come. And you and I have talked to people that are good at this, and they have gone down this road.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've talked to people that just try it once, doesn't work out perfectly, they don't try it again. We have said, I think probably not often enough, you become a real different problem solver when you have products. Because you can do the service, you can sell them a package to do it in their driveway. You can also offer a maintenance service. If you say, hey, I run a once a month thing that tells you how to take care of your car. You come down here, we show you all the steps to maintain your car. You can build an ecosystem that becomes unstoppable. Plain and simple. Is it going to get off the ground the first week you do it? Let me go ahead and tell you. The answer is no. But when you align with car clubs, your events become about people that care about certain cars, and they do care about them. Like, I get invited to all kinds of BMW stuff here locally. There's all kinds of people that reach out about stuff like that. If you have a car, there's many of you that have a car, you're in a club, you don't bring anybody to your shop. You want to know why? You don't feel like you have anything to provide. I'm telling you that's wrong. You do. People, more than ever, want to learn how to do stuff correctly. They do think they're putting the effort in. As much as you can make a joke and go, well, that's not the real effort you need. You need to go to this place. They just didn't know. I say this all the time. I got two of my really good friends are executive chefs here in town. Now, when you're an executive chef at a big place in Las Vegas, you're an executive chef. If you were to tell them what channels you watch on YouTube, they would crack jokes on you. You want to know why? You go to one of their barbecues, you go, oh, yeah, this is different. Yep, they know a lot more than I know. But they will point you in the right direction. Hey, go get your knives here. Hey, go get your pots and pans here. They will help you. right? And they actually just want people to ask a question like, how do I do it correctly? They're not mad you do that. They actually want people to learn it correctly and help people. And I know many of you are like this, but the problem is you're stuck in your shop, you're goofing off on the internet, you're arguing with other professionals on the internet. At the end of the day, guys, if you don't ever get anything from me, the level of bad information to the consumer is at an all-time high, and it'll be at an all-time high in 2027 and then higher in 2028. You want to know why? Social media is going to get bigger and bigger and more a part of people's lives. These people learned from somewhere and they were misled from somewhere. It's all good. Fix it for them. And I think the other thing is you'll have a lot more fun with this stuff than you think. Because when you have a whole group of people trying to learn, you're like, hey, this is pretty cool. And like you said, an hour went by and you're like, oh, whoa, an hour went by. I got to leave. Right?
Yeah, I was amazed. I think you asked like what did I really get away like I was driving off and Frumpy Face came walking out as I was driving off, so I waved at him.
Yep.
He could see my very high gloss shiny tires on my BMW. He loved it. He waved.
Yeah, he has no class. We'll have to talk to him too. Just like we've had to have discussions with Marty in private group texts. Like, this is not acceptable.
But it was like, what did these, was it worth it for me? Absolutely. Right. Because I said I wanted to go spend time and there was some people. So that was worth it for me. But it was also worth it to I go, damn, Nick, we were not, I hate sometimes to say it, but sometimes I enjoy it because there are people that recently just put out a ton of information over things that happened over the past weeks. But, I talked to that guy that sent me that text of how can I progress? I talked to other people that go, around from back some time before. And that word sustainability, man, like I love that I could go back and talk to people and do things that I've done over the past 10 years and enjoy a moment, an hour on a Saturday. Seems strange, seems very strange. And at the same time was just rewarding, I guess, sort of just for me. Like,
sure.
It was cool. And I think a lot of people will get out of it, like to sustain a thing and to keep going and keep going and keep going. And then to look back 10 years later.
Well, so I think there's also another thing you did here, and I'll leave it with this. Operating those 10 years above board comes back. And people find that very hard to do. I know a lot of people cutting corners right now. It's tougher time. Economy's a little falter. I can see they're cutting corners. Maybe they're admitting to me or you that they've cut some corners. It doesn't really work that way. Good times, bad times, cutting corners, not giving out good information, going to a cheaper product and providing cheaper results. That all has a penalty in your life and business. And most of the time that shows up years later. Right? Where people aren't calling you back and people don't want to hear you talk and people feel burned by you. And the great thing is you don't have that. You just go, hey, I just haven't seen you in a while. That's it. And that is what the feeling you want. So before you think about buying that Amazon product or buying that cheap part store gallon or burning somebody's front end because you used the wrong product because it was cheaper, you don't get opportunities 10 years later, period. Like, it's one thing to make a mistake. It's another to make it continuously. We've tried to impart that. We've tried to say, hey, we saw this post. Let's talk about it. Let's give good information. That stuff all comes home to roost sometime. And at least you got to talk to some people you knew from back in the day and some new faces. And again, if you guys aren't distributing product, you're missing out on all these people that want educated. Wallets are out. How do I get this stuff? How do I get this stuff? So I think it's a huge moneymaker, as well as bringing money into your business, as well as, hell, there's some of you prosumers out there that got nice little side businesses just from friends, family, acquaintances bringing stuff to your home garage. Like, you can make life real simple by offering some products and saying, hey, let me show you how to clean a wheel. Let me show you how to wash a car. should they be able to do it off a YouTube video? Yeah, man, but there's a lot of bad ones out there, and that's your thing you get to solve.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, like I said, I'll go put the photo in the group. That's hyperCLEAN Specialist. Love for everybody's else interactions when they go to car clubs and things that they do. Go put it in the group, right? Like that's part of community. If you've had success somewhere, hey, go put it out there. Love to see it. This is what we do. All right, we'll see everybody there.
See you guys.